Well, Flames fans, ArmChair GM podcast, and oh baby, do we have a treat for you tonight? We've tracked down Grant from Blasty's Corner. We're going to break down the preseason and things moving forward into the 22-23 season. Let's get into it.
Well, today we have a special guest on the show, Grant Cheung from Blasty's Corner. Very happy to have you on. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. And yeah, it's great to come on and meet you guys. And yeah, awesome to be a part of this. And always happy to jump on and guest with the family. So this is awesome.
This is good news. We got somebody that kind of bounces back and forth between Calgary and Edmonton, from what I understand.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So he knows what it's like to be in bliss here in Calgary, and also what it's like to fight in the trenches 3 hours north, which is super unfortunate. I'm sorry you have to live that life, dude.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I tell people that I'm begrudgingly living in Edmonton. I'm a Calgarian who's begrudgingly living
Everybody
in
that lives in
which is-
Edmonton does it begrudgingly.
Shame.
Yeah.
Well, it's October 4th. I think we got 2 games left in the preseason, if I'm not incorrect.
Yeah, a couple against Winnipeg.
Yep.
And we made a whole bunch of cuts in the last few days. What are you guys thinking? Anyone stood out that maybe got sent down, or anyone that should have got sent down that didn't, or what are you guys thinking?
Well, personally, I'm not surprised by a single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
With Daryl being at the helm, we obviously knew that it was going to be more of a veteran team.
Yeah.
Going into the season. There's a couple of guys that Dylan and I both talked about that had really decent camps and looked great, but development is a thing. Guys like Connor Zari, which had a really decent camp, but is he truly ready to play 82 games? Probably not. Give him another year in the A, let him develop and get to where he needs to be.
Yeah.
So I'm not super surprised by anybody that was sent down. There's a few like Phillips that everybody kind of thought would stick around, but I mean he didn't do much in the Young Stars at all, and as far as I'm concerned, he didn't do much in preseason either.
Yeah, no, with Phillips, I kind of agree on that. I think Logan Gordon from Sportsnet 960 was saying the other day that, and I totally agree with this. I think a lot of people in Calgary are kind of obsessed with Phillips, not because of his game so much, but just because of his underdog story and the fact that he's a local boy.
Yep.
And all that's well and good, and he got the one game. Was it last year or the year before? Either way, he got the one game. He seems like to me, for Phillips, he's kind of one of those guys who is a very good AHLer, and I wouldn't hate if he got if we got some injuries on the wing, and he got called up for a few games, or sat in the press box for a couple games and then played a couple games, sat back down and got sent back down to the AHL. But I don't think he's a full-time NHLer. I don't think he's got really that much of an upside for that, unfortunately.
Yeah, see, like the thing with Phillips is, look, the kid's listed at 5'7".
Yeah.
He's already 24 years old. Yes, he can play in the A, but at this point, if he wants to make that step to the NHL level, he's gotta stand out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was not really the issue, but if he's NHL average, if he plays an NHL average game, well, you're 5'7", you're probably going to be run over more often than not. I mean, you know, you're
Yeah.
a lot smaller than the guy. Like I don't want to compare him to Gaudreau because that's unfair.
No,
But
you can
different
only
games.
compare to Gaudreau in size,
yeah,
but unfortunately for Phillips, he just doesn't have that ability, right?
yeah, he doesn't have that
like
talent.
he doesn't have that talent to avoid those hits and to
Yeah.
move and be elusive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he plays a very Mangiapane-ish style game, but he doesn't have the finish that Mangiapane has, and that's the only thing. I mean, that's the thing that separates the two, right? And
Well,
it's a big thing.
I mean, he did get, I think he was a point per game or close to a point per game last
Very
year,
close.
but that's in the AHL, of course.
Yeah.
But the other thing about look, I'm happy that he didn't get picked up off waivers. But that probably means that he's likely not going to get an NHL opportunity if every team has passed up on him at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, he is 24 years old already, so that prospect shine is starting to not be there anymore. You know, I'd be very happy with Phillips playing in the AHL for us. You know, he's still going to be playing in Calgary, you know, hometown kid. But you know, like I said, you know, I mentioned this with my co-host earlier today, actually, that you know it's unfortunate, but it's not the end of the story, right? Like, who knows what'll happen? Like you said, Dylan, there might be some injuries that will necessitate him coming up, and maybe he could fill a role that way. But you know, at this point, I think probably Connor Zary would be one of the top call-ups at this point. I think he had a very impressive camp. I liked his compete level. I liked that. Like I was, you know, reading and listening to all the interviews post games and all that stuff, and they were saying how much of an edge Zary was playing with, and actually how angry he was that he wasn't like scoring, or you know, if he made a mistake, he was super angry at himself, and that is helpful to a degree. Of course, you don't want to be
too hard on himself.
Too hard on yourself, but I think it genuinely comes from a level of, oh, I expect to beat that guy. I should have beaten that guy. So, you know, when you have that mentality, I think that will translate well to the NHL level.
Yeah, he's got a very competitive spirit, and from what I saw, like I watched a few of the games, and because of my work, I listened to a couple of the games on my headphones while I was working. But you know, from what it looked like and sounded like, the competitive edge is there, and you know, he had that really unfortunate injury last year in training camp in the first game of the preseason. He blocked a shot and had like broken ankle or something like that. And then he missed the first half of his first professional season in the AHL. And that's a big, big thing to overcome for somebody so young.
Yeah. Well, you're playing catch up, right? Everybody else already had that full half season of work and tempo and all of that up in themselves already. So you're kind of coming off an injury. You don't have the game speed yet. You haven't reached that level yet. So you don't really even understand how fast the game is at that point.
100%.
And you're just trying to catch up. So yeah, absolutely.
The thing that really impressed me, like even beyond just the on ice stuff, which really did impress me, even from his very first interview in Penticton this year, he looks huge. Like in comparison to what he was last year, he looks really big, and he sounds like he matured a lot, and that's huge, I think.
Yeah, he put in the work.
Well, that's right. I mean, and let's be honest, he's played one full season in the A. He's 21 years old.
Played a half season.
Well, he played 53 games last year, right?
So I thought he played less, but yeah.
So I mean, he's played a reasonable amount of games for 1 year, but he's 21 years old. He still has development to go through. I'm not worried about him because, like you said, we saw his compete level, which is phenomenal. I'd love to see that when you're coming into a training camp like that and into a preseason, you want to see these young guys want to make the team, and he wanted to make the team, but he just has a little bit more growth to go through, which is fine. You know,
Top line AHL minutes are better than bottom line NHL minutes for a prospect. In
I
my
agree.
mind.
I agree. And
Absolutely.
you know, like I said, with his age, I mean, he's going to make the team when he's 22, 23 years old.
Yeah.
And he'll start off third to, he'll start off in the third line.
Probably. Yeah.
You know, he's not going to start off in the fourth. He's going to start in the third and then make his progression up from there.
Mhm.
At the very least, like he could very well start on the second.
Yeah.
I'm out of all of our prospects in Calgary now. I'm so used to saying Stockton. He's one of the ones that I'm not worried about. I honestly think he's going to make the team next year. So I mean, I loved watching his compete level through all of the training camp, and yeah, we'll see him again.
100%. And
Got that
he's
fire.
got the. I think he took Mitch Love's coaching really seriously, because
Mhm.
Mitch Love really does pass on Sutter's systems and Sutter's thinking, and you can tell that Zari really took that to heart.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have no problem with him being sent down. I think it would have been nice for him to get one more game in the preseason, but I don't think that it matters that much. I just think that for a guy like that, surviving one more round of cuts probably would have been nice.
Yeah, no,
But,
for sure. I think the biggest story of all the players that were I was going to say let go, but sent down to the American Hockey League, Daryl sent his own son.
Yeah. Well, he's on
Down
an
to the
AHL
A.
deal though.
He's 35 years old.
Yeah.
And he actually impressed me in camp
He was
too.
one of
Yeah,
the most
yeah.
impressive guys here, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
he
like him.
plays Sutter style hockey, obviously, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he had 2 points, I think, during the games that he played. I mean, Jesus,
Yeah.
He had 2
Give me more
goals
of
and an
that.
assist, I think.
was it 2 goals? Yeah,
Yeah.
so you're right. Yeah, you're right. He did have 2 goals.
Yeah. One of my favorite ways to describe a player
Yeah.
is to say that the guy runs around or skates around out there like his hair is on fire.
Yeah.
And that's the type of player that Brett Sutter was, and
I like
love
that.
that about him.
Well,
I like that. So does Cody Eakin, but that's for different reasons.
Yeah, it's a different reason. Yeah.
and to be doing that at 35 years of age and skating
Yeah.
circles around, 20 to 23-year-olds that are
Yeah.
also being sent down with him. I mean, that's super impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
one
I
thing
mean,
I
the
wa-
game at that point isn't complicated, right? Like,
No.
get down low, dig after the puck, get it to the net. Like,
And
That's right. Don't be afraid.
That's how
to
he
get
scored
hit.
his 2 goals
Yeah.
too. Just
Yeah.
garbage rebounds, garbage, driving the net, and that's how you win in the playoffs too, right?
Absolutely.
And the thing about Sutter is the same thing about Phillips for me, as far as like, you have a farm system for a reason,
Yeah.
and those guys who are just entering the AHL, they need guys like Brett Sutter or like last year Curtis Lazar.
Yeah.
Right. Like they
Teach
need
you how
those
to be a
guys
pro.
on that team to show them how to be professionals.
100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
I could.
I think the Wranglers are going to benefit from having Brett on their team this year,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because he will absolutely teach them how to be a pro. And I'm pretty sure Daryl did it for a reason.
Oh,
'Cause he
absolutely.
knew damn
Yeah.
well what they needed, and they needed somebody to just pump them up and show them exactly what it takes, and he did that. I mean, he had no reason to even be on the ice whatsoever
Yeah.
when you look at his career and his age and everything like that. But he showed that he belonged in
Oh, he did.
every game he played, right?
There was a couple days there. I was like, fuck, I wouldn't even mind him being on that
No.
third line left wing, like, if we can sign him to an NHL deal. But
Well, yeah, and he's listed
Yeah.
as a center, right? So does he
Yeah.
take Cody Eakin's job? I mean, I think, well,
yeah,
I probably would have rather had Brett Sutter there than
Yep.
Cody Eakin at this point.
100%. 100%.
and I don't really have any beef with how Cody Eakin played, has played. He's still in camp, but he's on a PTO, but I really don't have any problems with the way he played. He just didn't pop, and then 35-year-old Brett Sutter popped.
Well,
Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? When you're coming in on a PTO, you got
You
to
should
pop.
pop.
You need to pop. You need to stand out for all the right reasons. And I mean, we have 3 PTOs, right?
Mhm.
Beacon, Milano, and Stone.
Yeah.
I mean, out of those 3 players, who's popped?
Well, Michael
Seventh
Stone is
defenseman.
on pace for 82
Right?
goals. So
Like if Michael Mr. Dependable, like if that man does not is not our 5-6 D as well as our power play 2, there's something very wrong with our system.
yeah. I know you wanted to talk about Milano real quick there, Grant.
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
yeah.
just that I've been disappointed. I mean, I was really when we signed him to a PTO, I was actually pretty pumped because I thought that he'd have enough skill and ability to play in our top 6, if not top 6, at least middle 6. And he had a decent showing in Anaheim. Of course, we all know how his game fell off in the last 30 or so odd games last year as well. But he was famously the recipient of the dish again from Trevor Zegras.
Yeah.
Which
100%.
of course takes skill to you think a guy like Brett Ritchie is going to bat that out of the air into the net. No, you need hands to be able to do that.
Absolutely. But the thing is like, what did he have? 34 points last year. And as a breakout year, he had 34 points.
Yeah.
After having what they call chemistry with this phenom of a rookie, right?
Yes.
Like you'd figure you get a couple more, especially being that you pride yourself more on the offensive side of the puck. And that's something that really got me about him too, is when he was asked what he wanted, like what he wanted to show, he told the media he didn't mention defense at all. He would just said like, I'm like, Suther's listening to that. Like,
that explains,
he was just like,
explains
I
his
wanna,
-9, right?
yeah. He's like,
points.
I want to be creative and make nice passes and get the puck in the net and take shots and I'm just sitting there like, you want to back check hard and you want like take the puck away. And
you look at the guy at 26 years old and 34 points is his standout season, like you said, while playing with a player like Zegras. 34 points in 66 games is, pretty similar to 23 points in 55 games and 22 points in 55 games that he had in the past, or 18 and 46. Like I never saw anything in him that intrigued me and made me get excited about it. And the fact that he was released or not qualified and then released by his team.
Like he could have been kept for nothing,
right?
Yeah.
Couldn't sign a contract with anybody, and then comes in and people are talking about how he's going to make 3 and 4 mil off a PTO, which is just ludicrous.
That'd be right? Stupid.
Yeah.
Right. It'd be asinine.
It's ridiculous.
You're on a PTO. You've come to terms with the fact that you're making no more than $1 million.
You have to like Stone popped, but you have to pop to get 3 mil on a PTO.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. Like if he came into camp and just dominated 4 games, I'd be like, you know what? Pay him 2.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with 2.
Yeah,
but nothing more. Like, come on.
And he didn't. He hasn't shown much.
He bet on himself, and unfortunately, it's been a flop in my opinion. 100%. Like he's done 0.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything.
And you look at our team already. You have Dubé and Toffoli up the right wing, just fucking whiffing on passes and completely missing the net by 3 miles. We don't need another one of those guys. Like I like those 2 players, but like, if I have to watch any more like 10 meter misses from the slot, then I'm gonna tear my hair out.
It's just it's been disappointing. There was a bit of hype around regarding Milano. And I thought that he might because like you said, it was a PTO. You'd think he'd understand that this would be his best chance to get a contract and would do his damnedest to get one, but he just hasn't done nothing. He hasn't done anything.
To me, that just kind of shows his true character.
Yeah,
You know what
And
I mean?
like,
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
and like you look at
I suppose.
what, like, even sometimes you have guys sign PTOs like from another team, like when Versteeg was on a PTO with the Oilers and signed with us. But like, I don't think anybody's watching our training, you know, our preseason games. Any other teams are watching our preseason games and being like, we're gonna take a flyer on Milano.
Yeah,
He's not showing anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's unfortunate. It's disappointing.
But I mean, the hair is
and-
phenomenal. He does a great interview.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the hair's great. Yeah,
Yeah, all the important stuff, right?
Speaking of great hair,
Leadership.
speaking of great hair, and I'm surprised Dylan isn't leading to this being a ginger himself. What have you seen from Cody Eakin?
Cody Eakin. I mean, yeah, just other than the impressive, magnificent flow,
It's super great.
It's pretty
fantastic.
great. Yeah, it is pretty great. Him and Tanev have really nice flows. I was sad that Uyghur got cut his off.
Yeah, right.
Fair point.
Yeah, but
He
I don't
popped,
know.
by the way. But
He did. He definitely did. But yeah, steady game, I guess. I mean, he hasn't really. I think he's just been, he's just been Cody Eakin.
perfectly
make a few
serviceable fourth line.
Yeah, I've seen a few mistakes. I've seen a few good plays. Like, he'd be he can be a good soldier, I guess, down there. He's not going to cost a whole lot, but now that we have Zahorna, I don't know. Is there a spot for Eakin? Does taking Zahorna relegate Eakin to no PTO to no contract?
That's the way I kind of see it. Like, because I don't see why you would pick up Zahorna, because it's not like he can play in the AHL unless you send him back through waivers, right? For anybody who's listening and doesn't know, picked up Zahorna off waivers, who's 6'6", 220.
Yeah.
So he's this hulking 26-year-old guy who seemed to be popping a little bit in Penguins camp, and the fans and Brian Burke seem to be not very happy that we stole him off of waivers. Well, not stole, but because they sent him on waivers. But at the same time, like, you don't, especially as Tree Living, who has a pre-existing relationship with Brian Burke, you don't take that. You don't take that chance of like ruining a relationship unless you actually think that player is going to be in your lineup, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it frivolously. You're not just doing it for the sake of doing it. So I think they should give him a good chance. I mean, from what I've heard, the kid can skate. So like the only knock on him was that he would come into camp out of shape and would be super tired after like 30 seconds of a shift and just wasn't very in shape.
Yeah. So a few bags.
But apparently this year, this year he shaved a few pounds off to try to help with that. And even Berkey said that the 6-7 pounds that he took off really made a difference, and he's really shown that he took a step, which is, again, I'm surprised that they put him on waivers in the first place.
I mean, players come into camp out of shape. I mean, look at like Bufflin, who is an absolute stud and a superstar. Phil Kessel.
Yeah.
I mean, is coming into the arena on day one with 3 hot dogs in his pocket, right? I mean,
did you see the hot
popping
dog
off 30 goals?
That was amazing,
and a Stanley Cup.
that hot dog cake was amazing.
That was pretty good.
Kudos to the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, they do not deserve him. They really don't.
No.
I
was actually hoping we'd take a flyer
too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He just looks so happy about it.
I was really hoping we'd take a flyer on him, actually, because I thought he'd fit in pretty well. I mean, he's not the Kessel of old, for sure.
No, of course he's not, but but also
$1 million?
would he want to play under Daryl, do you think?
Yeah, I guess
where
not.
where conditioning is key and everybody works harder than
you got a back check.
I
don't know, but you look at our team and like, I think he's a right shot, and he'd be playing on the second or third line. Like, that's perfect. Like on paper, is a
Oh,
great
on
fit.
paper, it's phenomenal.
On paper,
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
But
I
James
just-
Neal was a great fit on paper too, so I'll just shut up.
Well, you know what? I'm glad that he came to Calgary and he ruined his fucking career. Fuck him. Fuck you,
Yeah.
James.
What a
Oh,
stupid
James.
fucking thing to say, like as if he didn't
Right?
know that he just floated
Sorry.
his way and
We invited
expected.
Grant on the show, and then I'm just gonna go off on James Neal.
This Nealer. Yeah.
I mean,
Well, hey, we got Lucic out of him, so
you know what? I
Yeah.
don't hate the entire transaction that happened there, and
Yeah,
I was
me too.
happy when we signed Neal in the first place because obviously he was the hot item ticket at the time, right?
hype. There was a lot of hype.
100%.
We had been looking at the time for a right winger for Gaudreau and Monahan for so long. And this guy is a guy who made the Stanley Cup finals like 4 years in a row.
I think
20 to 30 goals.
the initial
like,
trip to China in that season, I think that's what ruined him. Something happened when they're in the hotel, and you could tell that his attitude was not cool and kosher with the rest of the team right from the start.
and he gets bought out, and then he doesn't even show up for a PTO. Like,
Right?
fucking got didn't he? I think he got sat in the AHL last year. Like, I think.
Yeah,
Well,
he did.
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
But he won. I think he won the championship in the AHL, though.
Well, good for him. Good for him.
But anyway,
Imagine being a guy who was known for like making the Stanley Cup Finals 4 years in a row and then winning the AHL championship.
yeah.
think,
Well, there's an answer to a trivia question right there.
Yeah.
So
That's hilarious.
so as much as I would love to spend another 45 minutes on James Neal,
Yeah, let's move on.
why don't we take a quick break for a sponsor, and we'll come right back with the players that were excited that are still on the team, and look at how the team is moving forward.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. We'll be right back, guys. Hockey fans, it's finally time to hit the ice again, and thanks to DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you're in for the season of a lifetime. New customers can bet $5 on any team and get $200 in free bets if they win. I'm definitely doing it the next Battle of Alberta. And if that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into bigger payouts with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more for your shot at an even bigger payout. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $200 in free bets if they do. That's code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Minimum age, some restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
Well,
Right.
guys, we touched on Stone a little bit earlier. Let's talk about him just a little bit more because I know I'm not quite sure how you're feeling about it, Grant, but I know Chris and I are huge fans of Michael Stone. And
Oh, I fucking love him, man. I
Yeah.
fucking love him. This guy's a fucking beauty. Michael Stone, reigning 7th defenseman of the year. This guy is no, he's a true professional. This man knows how to play hockey. And honestly, I don't know if you listen to his interviews, but he's just got like a very good head on his shoulders. You know, like he understands where he's at in his career. He understands the role that's expected of him, and he takes it seriously. His whole mentality is to be ready when I'm called upon.
Yeah.
It could be in 5 games, it could be in 30 games, but when they need me, I'm going to be there. And I'm going to rip a clap bomb from the point.
Or like 20.
Yeah. And that's what he does. He plays a simple game. He didn't look superbly outmatched in the playoffs last year.
No.
When he had to step in. And he plays average defense.
I don't think he looked outmatched at all. And then he comes in a weird situation in playoffs like he did.
Yeah.
And holy shit. Like,
yeah.
I mean, don't
Really
get me
stepped
wrong.
up.
We obviously still missed, Tanev in there.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
you can't
absolutely.
say
replace
that Stone
but
can come in and be what
No.
Tanev is,
No,
right?
no.
But
Definitely
for what
not, no.
Stone brings, he's great at it.
yeah,
He just
100%.
doesn't bring what Tanev brings.
I mean,
Yeah.
he leads the entire team in goals this preseason, does he not?
Get 3,
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, I
Three-
think he's
three
at
for
3.
sure.
He's at 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's honestly it's a no-brainer at this point to
Yeah.
offer him a contract because we all know that Shillington is away from the team on a personal issue, and
Yeah.
hopefully that gets resolved and everything is okay on his end.
Agreed.
But at this point, there's a spot, and Michael Stone deserves that spot. And I was
I
mentioning
agree.
his post game interview. Ryan Leslie was asking him about like, oh, how do you deal with the stress and like at one point does the stress set in to like
I'm always
you're about to
stressed.
yeah, he's like, I'm always stressed. Come on, Ryan.
That was
he's
actually
just,
a great interview.
oh my god, it was
That was a great
hilarious.
interview, and I love the fact. I mean, he's set up roots in Calgary, and he really has zero intention of leaving at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. With,
So-
or his family.
Or exactly. Well, that's
Yeah.
what I mean. Like he's got his roots here with his family, and that's what he wants to do. He's focused on that, and he just gets to play for his local team, and he loves
Yeah.
that. Like,
And look, this still allows my pipe dream to be in place. One day this could still happen. We could somehow convince, since we have Michael Stone, we could somehow convince his brother Mark to play for the Flames, and then we'll have a right winger that we've been missing for however long.
well,
If
being how you're doing your first time on our show here, what are you giving up to bring Mark here?
Honestly, that'd be impossible. The cap room would not work. It would not work out. We don't have enough. I mean,
Is
you'd
he
have to
9 or
start at
9.5? Like,
9.5. You'd have to start at Wolf.
Gross. Okay.
Probably have to throw
next subject,
Probably have to throw
sorry.
Zary and Peltier, a couple other guys.
Or
and
like-
yeah,
So-
it's just
so-
you have to throw everything.
they
So-
need a goalie, right? So Vladar, start
Well,
with Vladar.
No. See, you didn't have to do that, Dylan. See, because
I
you
don't want us to trade Vladar.
because you said Wolf, I think a natural progression is to go from Stone to Vladar. Tell me what you've seen from him in this preseason.
Oh, he's been everything that you need in a like. I'm super comfortable with a Markstrom Vladar tandem. I'm actually hoping now that he's shown an impressive ability to stop pucks in the preseason. I'm hoping that he's earned a little bit more trust from Sutter so that he'll play him more and rest Markstrom a little bit, because I think
I think he's
pooped out.
shown that he's got 25 to 32 games in him.
Yeah.
Which is amazing when
Yeah.
you can arrest Markstrom going into potential playoffs.
Mhm.
That being said, one of the key things that I've noticed with him, and something that Dylan and I have talked about in many episodes, Vladar has always been very good at stopping the puck. From what I witnessed of him last year, he wasn't great at knowing where the puck was, though.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
He was in the way of it.
Yeah.
he was
But
in the
he
way
didn't
of it.
know where it was. He was surprised when it hit him last year. But I
Yeah.
think he's fixed that. This like
100%.
his tracking, you can tell his head is following it more this year. Whereas
Yeah.
before he would kind of sort of maybe know where it was and just
Yeah.
put his giant frame in the way.
I
of
think
it.
Scrambly. Yeah.
One of 3 shots that hit him last year, he was surprised about. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Where now you can tell that he's able to track it better, and I'm a big fan of that because he's.
Yeah. I heard a good interview.
I
with
honestly
him.
think he's going to be a great, 1A in 2 years.
Yeah,
Personally. Yeah. That's
which is
my-
right about the time where Markstrom's probably gonna. I mean,
That's right.
in theory, go down a little bit, right?
100%. So
Yeah.
when Vladar in 2 years can kind of start moving into that number 1 role as Wolf comes in, and then we just smoothly transition through that, which would be nice.
How long has it been since we've smoothly transitioned through goalies?
You know what?
Never. I don't think ever.
Ooh,
Smoothly transitioned from
No, we
killer to
get-
Ramo.
Yeah, we get like one great goaltender and then
And
just
we'll
like
go-
trash for
Yeah.
Ramo, and then we got
Yeah.
Ordio, and gross.
Leland
Yeah.
Irving. How about Leland Irving?
Hey,
Like-
leave her. Yeah, no,
Could I interest you in a Jonas Hiller?
no, you can't. I remember 3 days after our final game there, with Hiller, and I was at a coffee shop and he was walking by, and he
Yeah.
stopped at the window, and I looked up, and I pointed at him, and he looked at me like he was excited to be like, "Hey, a fan noticed me," and I gave him the finger, and then he left Calgary the next day. I was like, "Oh, sorry, dude, I didn't mean to
You
do
need to
that.
start giving Francis the finger more often.
I
That's
only gave
funny.
it to him the one time on the road on McLeod Trail, and if he's listening, which I'm sure he's not,
Yeah.
I hope he remembers the day about 9 years ago. It's on McLeod Trail, and I looked over, and there's Eric Franson, and he gave me the wave, like, "Hey, you know who I am," and I gave him the finger, and he just immediately put his head down and drove, like, sped away. And it was
He's listening to this right now and is like, "That was the motherfucker
that's
who
that
fingered me."
shit. Yeah. Yeah, you know what, Eric? That's fine. Bring it on.
Yeah.
I will just.
Well, hey, okay. So has Eric gained any credibility now that what he predicted was going to happen has happened? I mean, he was from
It didn't
day
happen.
one.
It didn't happen.
From day one, he said that Gaudreau wasn't going to sign long term after his current deal, and then he's talking about how Kachuk wanted to leave and all these things.
He did say that Gaudreau wasn't going to sign, but I will hold him right to the fact that he said he is 100% signing with Philly.
Yeah. So I think
that was Chuck
a
Fletcher,
tiny little bit of like like a shred of credibility, but he's gained absolutely no likability.
I find it extremely difficult to give the man credit or any credit for anything that he's said. I mean, personally, I think he's part of the reason why Johnny wanted to leave.
He could have been,
like
absolutely.
a tiny little bit, yes.
Yeah,
and same with Matthew.
Not
like,
saying
honestly,
he's like high up on Johnny's brain, but I mean, if you're gonna sit through interview after interview of listening to a guy just bash you all the time, like
in the same room behind
you're not gonna want to be there, right? Why would you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so it's easy to predict that he's going to leave when you're actively trying to make him leave.
Yeah, that's fair.
See, that's how I look at it too. It's not like I think that those guys, have their own head about them, or their wives' heads about them, and wanted to leave and or whatever, and it really had nothing to do with Francis. But I also think that he didn't help the situation, not that he's supposed to help the situation, but he also
he's media, and I think he should hold them accountable
to boot Johnny out for 4 years there.
Yeah,
even more maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
with his comments and his articles and everything like that. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I mean,
remember when Johnny's first Zoom meeting with the Blue Jackets and Francis showed up, and you just looked at Johnny's face and he's just like,
"Oh, for fuck." I think it would have been amazing if they would have announced him as the new beat reporter
for Columbus. Yeah, that'd be hilarious. And then we took Aaron Portsline.
Yeah. You know what? I'd take that any day of the week. Any day of the week.
So 5 minutes on Neil, 10 minutes on Francis, and
wow, things get off the rails quick here, don't they?
So we were on Vladar. Let's talk about Wolf, because I was insanely impressed. I am of the same mind with Wolf as Zeri, as another year or two in the AHL would do wonders for confidence, for skill, for all that type of stuff. But he looked borderline NHL ready. We just have two guys ahead of him.
Yeah, so this is the thing. So he looks pretty much NHL. I think he's still with the main team at this point, is he not?
He is, yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned Chris that you're hoping that we can keep Vladar around and transition him to become the 1A and then getting Wolf in. But I don't know. I think I think he might be ready next year. I think Dustin Wolf might be ready to take the step and come to the show next year and back Markstrom up.
So my only,
as much as I'd hate to leave, as much as I'd hate to let Vladar go.
I mean, if he's an asset that can bring us good return, then it is what it is, right? It's the business of hockey.
Yeah.
The one pushback I would throw at that is, I think next year he needs to face the second half of preseason games. Where this year, so far, he faced a lot of the first half, which you're only playing generally against AHL team.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
AHL teams or like, you know, half-assed Connor McDavid, not full-on Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like he didn't face any stiff competition in,
Yeah.
and I'm not taking anything away from him. He looked great.
Yeah.
I really liked what I saw from him, but I think next year, so whoever is the, you know, the guy behind him at the time, you know, he gets to play the, you know, the 2-3 games at the beginning of preseason, and Wolf, you know, let him take Markstrom's spot for 2 games, and let him play against pretty close to the NHL roster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think
Yep.
that'll be the sure tail, right?
You think
let
he
him
gets
play
one?
against
Like
those.
there's 2 more games.
I would
I mean,
hope so.
I mean, it's Winnipeg, right? So there's no reason why, you know, Markstrom can't split a game with him, and then, as far as I'm concerned, let Vladar split a game with him.
Yeah.
Or like Vladar's
I mean,
played like 4 games already. Like, why not just split both
Yeah,
of them with Markstrom?
yeah, but I mean, Vladar's likely not going to get another start until like third week of October, right? So he's going to have
Yeah.
a bunch of time off. So why not just let him play, you know,
Yeah.
a game or a half game there?
Hmm.
Let Wolf play 2 half games, you know, split one with Markstrom, then split one with Vladar
Yeah.
against some, you know, a meaningless squad of Winnipeg. I mean, they're not going to likely make the playoffs anyway, so there's literally no reason to even win or lose either one of those games, and nobody cares. So
Yeah.
why not?
And it would be good, I think, also to get Wolf in there in one or both of those games, because we're likely going to be playing our NHL roster, and I think it would be nice for him to have
Yeah,
to see what it's
proper
like to
defense.
play behind the defense that knows Sutter's system that well already,
That's right.
right?
Yeah. No, I agree with that 100%. Like let's bring him in. Yeah, you're right. He's still here, so why not let him play a couple, and then, if nothing else, it's likely going to boost his confidence.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
just get him that much closer to being ready. I don't think, personally, I don't think he's ready next year. I think the next year after that, because I still think he's still quite young, and
Yeah.
I find a lot of NHL teams have burned out goalies quickly, like Carter Hart, and, you know, players
I
like
was
Oh,
about
that.
to
what a
mention Hart. He
what a sad
followed
story
the
that
Carter
is.
Hart
Right?
path, right?
And,
Yeah.
And
you know,
Hart's
let him truly develop and build that skill set that will make him, you know, a Vezina finalist in 5 years, if, you know, if that's where he goes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a small goaltender, so he's going to have to use his speed and his vision to stop a lot of his pucks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the size to just be in the way. So I think let him develop, and I think the 24 season, 24-25 season is going to be his to take. And,
You know,
Yeah.
speaking of his speed and vision, just as a side here, we were talking about Vladar and his tracking.
Mhm.
Wolf's tracking is fucking
It's better.
elite.
Yeah,
it is
it really is.
very, very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I give you that for sure.
Yeah. Do you see Saros X? Do you
Right?
see Saros X?
Definitely. Well,
Yes.
that's the type of game he's going to have to play, right?
Yep.
And Saros is a fucking really, really good goalie.
Mhm.
And he's around the same size, right?
Yep.
That's what he has to do. He has to know where the puck is, have really good hockey IQ and senses and speed, because he's not going to be able to get in the way because he's smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
that's one of the downfalls potentially of bringing Wolf in 2 years. I think we all kind of somewhat agree that Brad has developed a 2 to maximum 3 year window for us
Yeah.
to be a really true contender. And so to bring him in kind of on the ass end of that, or, you know, it's
Just after.
yeah, the asset management after 2 years from now is going to be extremely important for what the Flames do, because it would be a super waste to have somebody like like Wolf starting a
For
rebuild.
the Chicago Blackhawks, yeah. basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, and at that point, we're probably going to trade him for fucking Taves, right?
Yeah, you want to
Yeah, like,
to
we're
tear
gonna
it down
have
at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah, like we're gonna have a team that resembles the Blackhawks, like a few young guys and a bunch of old bloated contracts
yeah.
that aren't performing
Yeah.
like they should.
But at the same time, he could be the savior, because if he plays out of his mind, you can
Oh,
win games. You
Do you
can win
mean,
games with gold.
do you mean
goaltending,
like
right?
Kipper in 04?
Yeah,
Where
exactly.
when we had no business even being in the playoffs, and then
Yeah.
holy shit, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
What did he
yeah,
play? Fucking 76 games.
yeah. It's
74,
something ridiculous like that. Yep,
yeah, 100%.
those
So-
good times.
So we've gone around the circle. We've talked a lot of defense. We've talked a lot of goaltending. Should we wait until next episode to go fully in depth on forwards? Or I mean,
sure. I just wanted to shout out Kevin Rooney real quick because
Yes,
his
know what?
1.3 million is sure a little bit bloated for what he does, but he's also
by what?
very what's that?
$200,000-$300,000.
Yeah, so it's not
yeah.
it's not that bad.
The
But
whole $300,000 we could be
Right.
using to pay Michael Stone over here.
Actually, you know what? I agree with you 100%
Yeah.
on that, Grant. Yeah, you know
Yeah.
what? Sign Stone to $2 million. Let's get it done.
but Rooney, like we were talking about Eakin earlier, like Eakin is pretty good at the fourth line role, but Rooney is fucking really good at it.
Yeah.
And to the point where he's fighting for maybe the third line role, which nobody ever thought when we got him, right? So I don't know. It was really, especially with last night's game, I was really, really impressed with him. And then there was another game, I can't remember which one, but I've been really impressed with him a couple times, and hope, obviously he's not popping a lot offensively or anything like that, but
No, but he's a grinder, right? He's
Yeah,
tenacious.
exactly.
Tenacious on the back check. I saw an article earlier today where they were comparing him to Garnet Hathaway.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and I can see that. Like, as far as actual gameplay, that's pretty close to the game he plays.
Yeah.
He doesn't hit
Absolutely.
quite as hard. And he certainly doesn't seem to take the weird penalties.
Yeah.
So I've got zero issue with starting a season with him at all. Like,
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, he only had 18 PIMs last year in 61 games. Like, that's
which is weird for
that's-
somebody that plays hard like that, right?
Yeah, that's the definition of responsible.
And he was
100%.
really good for them for the Rangers in the playoffs too.
Yeah.
Like, I think people were shitting on him more because we got him on the first day of free agency and
Right.
everything was going to
Right.
hell, and
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
just assumed that was Brad's
Who's
Kevin solution to
The
losing.
sky is falling.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna sign Kevin Rooney. That's gonna fix it all. Fuck you, right? But really,
Johnny's
like-
gone. Matthew's gone.
Yeah.
Ooh, who's this Huberto?
Yeah.
Uyghur?
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay, Kadri. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Uyghur's fucking so good.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
know
and
it.
I'm
I'm so
like,
excited.
we need to get that contract signed. I really hope it happens. It's not looking great, but
Only got a few more days.
yeah,
I'd be happy giving him 8x7. Give him $7 million. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to give him the 6.5 because then
Yeah.
it'd be a fun little extension. It'd be $52 million.
yeah.
Which is
Hey, his number. Well done.
yeah, but
Oh.
but yeah, like it's if he wants more, fuck, give it to him. He's gonna be good. Like he's a guy who
He's he's already good, right? Yeah,
yeah,
I
but
agree.
this is the thing with Uyghur is that he's just gonna continue to get better because
think
he's
so.
28 now. He's a late bloomer, but he's taken care of himself. He hasn't had any major injuries, and he understands how hard it is to get here. So he's not gonna take a day off. He's not gonna be lazy after getting paid. He's gonna know that because he was a 7th rounder. And he was a 7th round pick. So he
that's right.
understands how difficult
chip
it
on
is to
shoulder.
make the show.
And what got him to this new elite level was filling in for an injury.
Yeah.
So I think
In
he
Ekblad,
he
yeah.
understands it as at that aspect of it too, right?
Yeah.
So he takes
Absolutely.
care of himself. He plays the right way. Like
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting to
on
see.
all three in all three zones. He plays the right way.
Absolutely. It's going to be super interesting to see him play with a full NHL caliber defense because, I mean, yes, he played with Ekblad, but when he wasn't playing with Ekblad, he was playing with fucking Gudis and Forsling and then a couple of nobodies, right? Like, it's going to be interesting to see when he doesn't have to log every single important minute how much he can pop offensively and how much he what minutes he's deployed in is going to be really interesting.
Particularly when he's playing with Tanev, who's going to be the guy who takes care of everything back home, right?
Yeah.
I think the two of them on the PK are going to be unstoppable.
Oh God, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm really loving that look. I mean, last year with Tanev and Gabranson was amazing as well.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously,
And-
I'm not comparing Gabranson to Uyghur, but
Well, he freaking turned that year into $4 million for the next.
Right?
Like,
And
how
good-
did he get that much money?
and good
It's
on
just
him.
ridiculous.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I became a huge fan of Gabranson. I
Me
mean,
too.
coming out of camp, we're just like, I don't know. And then
I was calling him Bad Branson at the beginning.
He had a really, really, really bad camp.
he did.
Yeah.
And then
and
but
first couple 2 weeks,
astronomically.
he was pretty bad. First 2
Yeah.
weeks, him and Zadorov were
Yeah.
terrible.
but then
But then
by
something
time
switched.
by the time you got to the end of October, you're like, you know what? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll give him a chance because he's kind of doing some good things.
Yeah.
And then by January, I'm just like, this guy's a freaking stud.
Yeah.
He is
Like,
again, he's not
It's
4x4
unreal.
of a stud, but he's
no, I
he's-
agree.
I would have been perfectly happy if we signed him, 2x2.5.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, that would have been like the perfect amount for him. But
And
I mean,
that's-
he came
that's-
in.
That's obviously
Yeah,
why
it
he
has.
left, right? Because I'm sure
Yeah.
that's what Brad was thinking too.
Yeah.
Right? And
Well,
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
and
if
who
you
doesn't
get that versus 4 million, you're gonna
Yeah.
go get 4 million.
4x4. I mean, congratulations
years,
to
yeah.
him. I mean, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
yeah,
Good on him.
it's
And he deserved it, I think.
it's not a good investment for Columbus, but he deserved it.
Yeah.
That sounds really hypocritical, but it's true.
Yeah. Well, no, it's fair. And I liked his attitude too, because somebody asked him, "Oh, like, what's it gonna be like playing with Johnny now that he's back on the team?" And he's like, "Oh, that's funny. I thought he came to play with me," which is
Right?
Yeah,
good for him.
Yeah. Which means he's a
I like
good
that
locker
attitude.
room guy too, right?
Yeah,
he had
absolutely.
a really, really
Yeah.
good interview.
Yeah.
Right after he signed, or like a couple days after he signed in Columbus,
Yeah.
he had a really good interview on 960 with probably Steinberg. I can't remember who it was. It was months ago, but it was really good.
Yeah. He's a hell of a guy. Like,
Yeah.
he's
He's a
hell of a
stellar
guy.
individual. He's a really
Yeah.
good human being. And
absolutely.
and I wish him nothing but the best.
Yeah.
I hope he fails at defending Johnny on the ice. That's fine.
Yeah, that's all right. There's probably going to be there will probably be in that first game that Columbus comes or plays in that Calgary and Columbus plays. I think there will be a Zadorov and Gudbranson fight because I think
You know what? I could see that.
Zadorov will probably take a run.
I can see that
Yeah.
Zadorov's going to get his ass handed to him in that situation, which is fine. But I honestly think that when they start the night out, they should just do a Gudbranson tribute video.
Oh yeah, they.
Oh
should,
my
I think,
God!
yeah,
After
that'd
one
be
year,
funny.
yes,
Yes, and no Johnny one. That's exactly what they need to do.
That'd be
Oh my
hilarious.
God,
Just
actually,
yeah.
one,
that's
just
such a
one.
show.
You know what? We weren't sure if we're gonna do one for you, Johnny, or Gudbranson. We just, what? Right at the last second, we decided Gudbranson was the answer,
Yeah,
and just
And
boom.
just have Johnny in the background.
Oh,
and
yeah.
be like, you're in there. You're
yeah.
there.
See, you're there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or call it the Johnny tribute video and just have Gudbranson highlights with Johnny in the background.
Yeah.
so whoever
Sorry,
thought
I'm
we'd
not
be,
salty.
That's funny. Yeah.
whoever thought we'd be here, where there's quite possibly a Calgary and Columbus rivalry.
I don't
Yeah,
think
who-
there's
who
going to be
knew?
a
Yeah.
rivalry.
Oh,
I
come
don't-
on, come
I don't know about
on.
that. No, I don't
for-
think so. They only
for-
play twice, maybe twice a year.
One game in
Maybe.
each venue. Like,
I mean,
Yeah.
Edmonton and Calgary only play 3 times. So.
I mean,
Yeah, I guess they are starting to wait. Is that
Yeah.
or was that baseball? It was baseball. Never mind.
No, but
anymore.
Edmonton
The
and
other
Calgary only play the 3 times this year, right? So it
Yeah, it's fucking bullshit.
That's
Yeah.
lame.
it's like, you know what we don't like? Rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't
It's
like,
ridiculous.
heated games or put asses in seats in the stadiums. We don't like
No.
that at all.
But we're going to
we're the
talk about
NHL.
Dallas and Nashville because
But-
that's a big rivalry
Yeah.
in
Who?
the Central Division.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll pump up the Kraken and their
Yeah.
fucking new mascot.
Unbelievable.
Oh my god.
Oh God, we talked
So
about
I
this.
actually
on my
love
episode.
that fucking thing. It
What?
is-
Are you serious?
There's
It
nothing
is-
to like about it, let alone
It is
love. Are
the
you
so
kidding?
worst
bad.
freaking mascot.
It is so bad. I can't stop laughing. That's
Oh,
why I like.
God, it's
The-
awful.
The only thing they missed on that entire that mascot is the name. They should have just called it woke.
Woke.
Yeah.
That
Like-
would have gone really
like,
good with their whole like
honestly.
climate pledge thing.
Right. I'm just
Yeah.
I'm
God.
looking at this thing. I'm like, what the deuce is this? And then you look at it more. It gets worse the longer you look at it.
Yeah,
right?
it does.
So
Like it's
fucking-
so bad.
If you don't know, it has a fucking octopus tentacle coming
Right.
out of its right ear.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
What
a
the fuck
is
Kraken
that?
tentacle.
Which in all honesty, it's more believable than the Kraken because there's been no Kraken in the Pacific. Right?
I
It's
mean,
in the
yeah,
Atlantic, close to England and things like that. That's where the stories of the Kraken came from. Didn't come from the coast of Washington.
off
But
Seattle.
I think they messed it up as bad as they messed up their jerseys. Like a Kraken is a really cool looking fucking thing.
yeah,
They could have
Sure.
put a like not just an S that has like a really subtle tentacle on. They could have
Or
put
an
like
eye.
a really cool
Yeah.
looking Kraken on their jerseys.
yeah.
And
They
then
just
they
failed.
made a team called the Kraken and they gave it a mascot that's a fucking troll.
Yeah,
Like-
it's
Right.
like that's a troll. They're trolling everybody. Like it's ridiculous. How do you?
Yeah.
They had so much potential. It just ruins all their credibility. It ruins their intimidation tactics. Like it's awful.
It's
It's just.
I mean,
hilarious.
I went off.
Let's
on
be
it.
honest. Seattle didn't have intimidation to start with, and they certainly
No.
aren't making any
Yeah.
more with that god awful mascot of theirs.
Yeah.
It's-
No. One more thing I want to say about Rooney though. The kid has wheels.
Yeah.
I'm happy that he's on the team. I think he'll be good on that third line. I think he's a better third liner than he's a fourth liner, to be honest.
I agree.
Oh, really?
We could
I'm
probably make
interested to
use
see.
of him. Yeah, I think so.
I-
I mean, he's
I
got
think 'cause
skate
he's-
ability.
He's
Um,
defensively sound and responsible. I agree with you. I could totally see him picking up a spot for a lot of games this year on the third line.
Backlund and Coleman and Rooney. That actually sounds
That's not bad.
fucking good.
Yeah, that would
It's
be
not
pretty
bad
good.
at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds really good.
That'd be a really good shutdown line,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? You get
Agreed.
two tenacious fore and back checkers and Rooney and Coleman, and they're not going to give up on the puck.
And-
Backlund will do what he does, shut down the centerman.
And just like that, our third line average time on ice is 17:34.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's.
I think
know what,
I think
Grant?
that would work well.
I think you should probably message Daryl on this and make it happen because I agree with you. I think that would be a great line.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I think Brad Treliving actually listens to my show because last year we were pining for Toffoli and Kelly Yarncroke at the deadline, and hey, what they both came. So
Yeah.
All
we're,
right.
we're pretty sure
Well,
Brad Treliving is a shadow listener, but
spread the word.
that's just
What-
that's just.
I wonder
our,
what his
our
username is.
gut.
What do you think his username is?
His username.
What's Boston Pizza's?
I was going to
slogan?
say BP's 1948, right?
Yeah, could be. Yeah, or BP Gaudreau Slayer, maybe. I don't know.
BP
That's a stupid name.
VIP. Yeah.
BP VIP. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it right there. No, so yeah, I think Rooney would be great, as particularly because in this scenario, I'm thinking Dubé moves up to the
Right.
second line
Yeah.
with Kadri and Mangiapane, and
That
honestly,
line looked good last night.
Yeah,
yeah,
I didn't mind.
they were
it.
dangerous. Dubé really needs to play with skilled guys
He
to
does. I agree
to
with the
really.
puck.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Well, he hit
we
the
talk
net
about
3
prospect
times.
shine.
He
Yeah,
hit
was
the
so
net
there you
3
go.
times.
Yeah,
Which
we're talking about
it was
prospect
unbelievable.
shine earlier.
Yeah.
We're talking about prospect shine earlier. He's 24. He's been in the league for a lot longer than a lot of other guys, and
Yeah.
he hasn't shown much. to be honest with you.
No.
Up to this point.
That's right.
I'd
Like
s-
give
I'd
him his
say he's been
opportunity
underwhelming.
and see what he
Yeah.
has, right?
Yeah.
If he has it, great. If he doesn't, then we figure it out from there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Then we start
And-
looking at a trade with him and Valimaki for
Yeah.
and a
Top 6 winger.
top 6 winger with and we're mixing in a number 1 pick, whatever. But let's figure it out
absolutely.
now. Let's figure it out in October.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I'd love to see Dubé pop. As you can tell, I'm a big fan of the kid.
Yep.
But I hope he pops. I see the talent and I see the potential.
Yes.
And the drive. Like he does work really hard.
Yes.
I just
Well,
it's
that's
the finish. It's the finish and the consistency, and I think part of it might be not having consistent line mates, but
yeah.
also like there's been times where he's had different line mates every game and played in 3 different positions in 1 week. Like but I like the kid. I think he's got what it takes. I just hope it doesn't take what it took Bennett to leave. I hope he finds it here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's what's been the most frustrating about Dylan is, his
he's a local
potential
kid.
is tantalizing. His potential is tantalizing. You see it
Yeah.
in flashes and then it goes away. It's like
That's
a flash in the pan for like 5-6 games and then
I was gonna say a week to 2, and then all of a sudden, where's Dylan again?
Yeah.
Agreed.
So I think it would be good. And Daryl did say that he likes him as a left winger more than a right.
Which is interesting because he's came up as a center and then I played center and right for a while and like rarely ever plays left.
Yeah.
But I guess we're always super deep left. So
well, we are, and it's good to have somebody that can play that wing and be able to take draws, on the chance that our center gets booted out, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I mean, he'll have a lot of uses when it comes to offensive zone starts, right? Because he's fairly reasonable at taking the draws. I mean, obviously he's got to work at it a bit. I think he's roughly around like 46% career.
Yeah. I think the issue with him is that he hasn't shown that he can drive a line on his own.
100%.
So at the NHL level, I don't think he's a centerman.
I don't think so either. But he can
but
still
as a
take
left
draws
winger,
if
he could,
need be, right?
Yeah, he could do that. And
playing with
Mangiapane can
Kadri,
play on the
can
right.
drive a line.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, and Mangiapane can play the right. Right wing is which is what he did last year, with Backlund and Coleman. So
and he did great at that for 2 months for sure.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
I still rag on Mangiapane for not doing for fuck all from
for
December,
like 6 months,
December 15th to the end of the regular and playoffs, right?
Yeah, his
he scored 35 goals in like 35 games and then disappeared.
yeah. His ownership in the fantasy leagues was definitely just up and down for sure.
Yeah.
I had somebody try and trade him to me because he knows I'm a Flames fan. Like in our league that we drafted like 3 days ago or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, I dropped him 3 times last year. Like I'm not going to give up an asset for this right now.
Yeah. I'll pick him up when you put him on the waiver wire.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious when you can pick him up in January as a waiver, as a 35 goal guy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that
shouldn't be the case.
Yeah.
Well, Grant, you know what? It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show with us tonight.
It has been.
I love the fact that as Flames fans and kind of content creators with our podcast, we can come together and speak like-minded things. Obviously, we're a fan of the same team, so it makes it super easy. Had a lot of fun kind of getting to know what your mindset is with certain players, which I think we're on very similar mindsets on almost all of it, which is great. And I appreciate what you brought to our show tonight.
Me too.
anybody from our fan base, if you're watching, make sure you're checking out Blasty's Corner on all the platforms. You got Spotify, Apple, iHeart. Grant, do you have a different YouTube link or anything like that you want to shout out?
No, just a Twitter. At
Twitter.
Blasty's Corner. I mean, that's what I'm trying to get. I haven't been super successful getting followers, but who knows? I'm just happy to have people listen. And hey, thank you guys so much for having me on. It's absolute pleasure. Like you said, I'm happy to come back whenever. And yeah, absolutely. This is what I like about podcasting, right? Coming on and
Shooting the shit.
Shooting the shit. Absolutely. That's all it is. That's what I like doing about this. And even talking to players or fans of other teams is fun too. And this is just all around a good time. So thanks for having me on, boys.
100%.
Of course, you're welcome back. It was great.
Yeah. So that being said, we're about a week away from opening season. God, I can't wait. It's a pretty exciting team we've got on the ice these days.
October 13th. And hey, we might even be able to break that, what is it, dubious 14-year record of losing our home openers. We're playing the Avalanche
against the Avs. Yeah. I mean,
well, it's a back-to-back. So they win the Stanley Cup. They win the Stanley Cup. Of course, the defending Stanley Cup champions are rewarded with a back-to-back to start the season at home against Chicago, where they'll probably do their banner lifting and yay, Stanley Cup rings and all these things that'll drag on until probably whatever time.
And they're going to drink champagne once they get on the bus, right?
Of course, yeah.
And
then they fly up to Calgary.
Yeah,
and I hope Naz gets them all drunk the night before.
Kadri's going to go off on them on October 13th. I'm going to be there, and I'm super excited.
Oh, jealous. Very jealous.
I've got a buddy of mine who has seasons, and he's like, "You're coming for the first game, right?" No,
absolutely.
I would sure love to.
That's awesome.
So I really hope Kadri goes off on them with with his first of many hat tricks for the Calgary Flames.
Ooh,
cheers to
there's
that.
a hot take.
Right, hot takes coming at you here at the ArmChair GM podcast.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. That being said, next week's going to be amazing. Can't wait for a new season. 22-23 season is going to be lit. We're going to be rolling, and like always, ArmChair GM podcast is going to be rolling with you. Brought to you by Hockey Podcast Network. Thanks, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.